If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we're already late.
Good morning, Detroit. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Empowered Living. I am one of your hosts, Marshall Bryant. Our other host is,
Good morning, Detroit, and Happy New Year. Laura Sala.
and we also have special guest in with us, and we're starting off with Dr. Anthony King. Well, he's also a pastor as well. And he's here with us and our other guests as well because this is National Mentoring Month. Good morning, Dr. Anthony King.
Good morning,
Good morning.
sir. Good morning.
Morning.
Well, you are a pastor and a mentor. Can you tell us what it means to be a mentor?
A mentor, first of all, is not one who is taking the place of a parent. A mentor is one who walks alongside of a person, and we call them mentees, and help them in various goal settings to which they have established or have been decided between the mentor and the mentee. And so it's about leading, guiding, directing, and even correcting.
Okay.
Dr. King, what was the inspiration or the passion and spark that put this on your heart for this program?
Well, it goes all the way back to my youth. I was born and raised in a place that no longer exists, known as the Black Bottom. And throughout my years, there's always been different adults, different males and females who have poured into my life and given me direction. And that even led to the point when I joined the military. And one of the things in the military, once you become a non-commissioned officer or a sergeant, you are charged with leading and directing and guiding, you know, the younger soldiers under you. And so it really took off from there as far as establishing that type of leadership and relationship. Right. And then when I got out of the service, you know, I joined several different organizations, one being 4-H, another one being
the program.
It was 4-H program for mentoring. And they also did one with returning prisoners from the prison system. So I became, you know, trained and begin that type of training with that in the various different communities and different ages. And then it further led to pursuit. You know, once I entered into a doctoral program, I wanted to you know, do my dissertation. And when it was said or agreed that I could do it on mentoring, and it was under pastoral care and counseling, that I actually did all the research and you know, formulated this program called Boys to Manhood Mentoring.
Wow. Okay.
And what you see in front of you is the book that pertains all that great wisdom, knowledge, experience, and so on.
And hard work to write it.
Definitely hard work. We call it sweat equity.
All right.
Okay.
I know, that's right.
Why do you think in our community, in the African American community, that we steer away from the mentoring and the counseling? We need it, but we just steer away from it, seems like. Why do you think so?
Well, you know, I have two answers. The other side of me, I'm also a psychotherapist.
Okay.
And so when it comes to the counseling, let me answer that particular one. We, as a people, have been taught not to share our emotions, not to cry, because when we do those things, people see our weakness. So the opposite of that, which I learned as far as being a psychotherapist, is that in a person's anger, there's strength. And so therefore, you will see the anger before you see the sadness or the depression. And so that is like that shield or that protection that not only young people use, very relevant and prevalent today, but so do adults. And now when it comes to mentoring, a lot of people have it in their minds that they don't want anybody telling them what to do. And that's really not what mentoring is. Mentoring is understanding where you are and where you want to go, And we do that by focusing on realistic goals.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not about me trying to help you be a millionaire, which I'm not, but it's about, okay, I want to improve my scholastic grades as far as school is. I want to improve my attitude. I want to improve just perhaps how I dress. And so these are things, are realistic goals, and we work on those things, and we actually sign like a contract, and we like list 3 goals, and we work on those goals in the period of the mentoring relationship.
Okay.
You know, it's you mentioned what Marshall just mentioned too. I guess looking back, this might have been a cultural dismantling of maybe pride, or like you said, we were taught not to show emotion. Men don't cry and things of that nature. And as you look back, there was a dismantling process.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, detrimental. You know,
Yes.
for this, and this is why this program is so desperately needed.
Yes.
For these, because we in our community, it's just like you said, it's been far too long. Mentoring should have been around, you know, for a well. It's needed. It's long needed. So roughly, how long has this program been in existence?
Well, this particular program has been going on since 2007.
Okay.
And but one of the things that I emphasize, you know, and you brought up something, you know, it should have been around, but actually mentoring has been around for ages.
Okay.
You know, under Greek mythology, there was a person named Mentor, and the king was going off to war, and so he gave his son to mentor and say, take care of my son, teach him. And so it was from that this whole thing about the care, the trust, the training, the education, the involvement in life skills, you know, the principles for doing good,
Right.
you know, came about. And so, you know, and there are various different mentoring programs in different aspects
Right.
of life. You know, you have executive mentoring, you know, for those that are in leadership for companies and organizations.
In corporate America,
In
right.
corporate America, thank you. And then, you know, you have, you know, your, let's say, our neighborhood mentoring, where you have mentoring programs that are involved with the community at community level, you know,
Right.
even in the schools and the churches.
Yes.
You know, your 4-H club, your boys club, you know, things like that. So really, mentoring has really taken off and blossomed in the 21st century, and it's being utilized very, very well as far as other organizations, churches, and companies are concerned.
Right.
One thing I do want to add is that as a foundation, and one of the things that I was doing as far as the mentoring aspect was concerned, I started off at Martin Luther King Junior Senior High School,
Okay.
and that's actually where I did my dissertation and the work with statistical data,
Right.
which
Okay.
is normally used, you know, for doctoral research and things like that. You know, so I did the 9th to the 12th grade, and so all of that's in the book. That data, that information, and so
Was
on.
it co-ed?
Not at that time, no.
Okay.
No, I didn't go co-ed until I went to the various churches, and then that's when it was co-ed with male and female.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So when you were in the school, what did you notice that was different than what a school would already have set up, that you geared it a little differently to get a different outcome?
Well, the biggest thing was most students wanted to improve their grades.
Okay.
And one of the ways to do that is focus, which
Okay.
is
Yeah.
one of the tenets that I have as foundational for mentoring.
Okay.
You know, so we have to find out what are the distractions that keep them from actual focus. And you'll be surprised, or not surprised, of the various things that actually cause young people not to focus.
Okay.
You know, you have a lack of food, you have a lack of
Right.
housing,
And
you
that's
have
so important.
clothing, you
Yeah.
have hygiene, you have the single parent issues,
Right.
You have the revolving door in family situations when there's a man coming in, a woman coming in every other day, every other week. Call this one uncle, call this one. And all this affects the youth.
Right.
And then that person comes to school disturbed and not focused because they're trying to figure out, you know, what's home life's going to be when I
Yeah.
get back home.
Exactly.
No
The same
foundation.
thing when people come to church.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I said, that they have a lack of positive influence and no foundation
Yes.
to build on.
Yes.
You know, that's my, and as you said too, some of these kids, poor children, they come to these schools with dysfunctional philosophies,
Exactly.
and that's how they operate. You know,
Right.
so it's really not their fault at times. But
You know, and as you know, self-esteem is very important.
oh, awesome!
And,
yeah,
and if
yeah,
we can
absolutely.
bring them from a point of
Absolutely.
level to think of themselves
Yeah.
beyond their present circumstance.
Right.
You know, one of the things that Olympians do when they participate in races is that they see themselves as victors, as winning the race, as being the one that goes beyond everybody else and win.
Right.
And that's how we have to do in everyday life, particularly when it comes to mentoring.
Awesome.
You
Yes.
have to see yourself beyond your present. So I see myself. I want to improve my grades. I see myself with a 4.0. I see myself with all A's. I see myself making better relationships as far as people are concerned. I see myself being involved in the community. I see myself as a leader.
Right.
And one of the things I love the most that I hear so often from young people today, since President Barack Obama, I see myself as being that next African American president of these United States.
All right. Well, we're going to come up on our first break. I see right now why any student, any person would be so motivated in your
Yes,
program
indeed.
because you are so passionate,
Yeah.
which I already know myself. But I'm glad now everybody can see with your program. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to continue this conversation with Dr. Anthony King about his Boys to Men mentoring and the book, and also we're going to talk about the rainbow poetry. So stay tuned, get a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you need. Just come right back because we're going to finish this exciting conversation. He's got me motivated. So come right back.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday.
Are you sick and tired of paying high cable or satellite bills? Well, guess what? Those days are over and gone. You can cut the cable bill forever. Imagine having over 1,000 live HD cable channels, including local channels, all the premium channels, every sports package including all the games and boxing, special live events, and much more. Don't miss an episode of your favorite TV series, plus get over 9,000 movies on demand. All this for about $1 a day. You heard me right, for about $1 a day. Watch it on your phone, computer, tablet, or your TV set. Take it with you on the go. No equipment or messy in-home wiring needed. Join the wave of people who are cutting the cable and taking advantage of this revolutionary TV and entertainment service. Contact us now to learn more about this amazing offer. You'll be glad you did. Welcome to the new world of television entertainment. If you could use some extra income, we're looking for individuals to help spread the word. Reach out now.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation.
Okay, welcome back, Detroit. And we're going to finish our exciting discussion on mentoring with Dr. Anthony King. Loris, I believe you wanted to ask.
Thank you, Marshall. Dr. King, as I told you off camera, I had a chance to peruse this marvelous book, and I noticed in one section we had the art of mentoring.
Yes.
And I stumbled across a few components: leadership, stewardship, protege training, coaching, and job shadowing.
Yes.
Why are these components essential for your Boys to Manhood program? And
These are important because these are, first of all, various different labels for mentoring. But the art of it is the fact that you are pouring, you are providing, you are giving people wisdom, knowledge, understanding, life skills, life experience to help them improve their present situation and even the way they think.
Oh, okay.
okay, that's awesome. And these are some of the qualities that you insist in your mentors
Yes.
to transfer to
Yes.
Brandon.
You know,
Okay.
the one thing about being a mentor, this is not about you just wanting to lead another person, another child. You know, I'm going to spend an hour with this person to put it on your resume. This is not punching, that type of thing.
I see.
Okay.
You are building a relationship with a human being, with a life, and helping them to mold in the greatness that they can be. And I use that word greatness because it's always beyond where you are.
Absolutely.
You know, when I look back at my days of growing up in the Black Bottom and rolling tires down the street and in the alleys and having fights with rocks and things like that, you know, I mean, that kid didn't have much dreams until one day, you know, a man or a woman, you know, as they would say, touch me and begin to say, young man, that's not the way to do it.
Right.
You know, if you want to do something, let's start off with knowledge,
Okay.
which both of you all are educators. Let's start off with some education. Let's start
Right.
off with raising your aptitude as far as knowledge and understanding is concerned, because that's going to take you to the next level and
Absolutely.
provide to you some of the riches of the world, if you want to look at it like that.
Right.
That's so true too, because I often tell my kids too that your attitude increases your altitude.
Yes.
You know, yeah. You wanted to share some with the viewers, Dr. King, with your
Yeah, I want to pour into something real fast and real easy, you know. So if you got a pen, you want to take these down. This is your short way of not buying the book. Amen.
Take notes, Detroit.
But the
Take
first
notes.
thing is, you know, is about equipping a person or a youth with positive life skills. You say, well, what are life skills? I mean, sometimes we get confused as to what life skills really are. But simply understanding is the way you do the things to help you live.
Okay.
Okay.
And that even includes hygiene.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Young man,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Say it again.
you know, you can't hide the funk with cologne. You got to
now.
take a shower or
Right.
bath.
Right.
And wear your pants the correct way.
Hello,
Out on your waist.
You know, I mean, that's what it's all about. And then accountability, you know, which again is about you knowing that I'm accountable to you as a person.
Absolutely.
If you're my mentee, I'm your mentee or I'm mentor, I'm accountable to you. You know, I'm going to be checking in on you. You know, phone calls, visits, you know, walks.
Right.
As they say, it may not be in the park, it may be around, down the street. I mean, I've done that with my mentee. I say, look, let's come on out the house, because what you have to do when you start pouring in wisdom and knowledge, you have to have an environment where a person can receive
Yes.
what's being said.
Right.
You know, and again, distractions. You lose
Okay.
focus,
Right.
you're not going to be able to get it.
Okay.
You know, so that's one of them other things. The other thing is respectability.
Okay.
How can I respect anybody else if I don't respect myself?
Absolutely.
That's where it starts.
Extremely
At.
important.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and even if you're in an environment where folks don't respect you, still respect them.
Right.
Because the thing of it is that you have to show in order to grow.
All right.
Okay.
You know,
Wait a
you
minute
just
now.
can't just act like you want to do something. You got to
Right.
do it. Life is doing.
Yes,
right.
right.
Life is not acting. People will act life. They will imitate life, Hollywood. You understand? You know,
Right.
they'll have the bling and the bland, but that don't make you the person.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then next one is responsibility. You owe, and I'm going to say this very seriously. You owe a debt to your family. You owe a debt to your mother. You owe a debt to your father. You owe a debt to the generations that have allowed you to be where you are today. You didn't start off being an executive, being a president.
That's right.
You didn't start off being the man in charge, you know, or the woman in charge. You started off at a level, and then because other people, you know, if you want to say, you know, the Dr. Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X, the Rosa Parks, you know, and so on. All these folks paved way
That's
for
right.
us to be able to stand up and be accountable to
Right.
success.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because so many people have the I mentality.
Yeah.
can't do it that way.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I do that.
Let me finish these other 2 points. Commitment.
Okay.
You have to be committed to your mentee. You have to be committed to the program.
Right.
You know, and so that commitment really goes beyond the person you're dealing with, because being committed means that, you know, I'm going to talk to your mom, I'm going to talk to your dad, I'm going to let them know I'm not a threat.
Right.
You know, and I one of the mentees that I had once before, you know, when I came in, and you know, the first thing I do before, you know, is developing relationships. We know relationships is important in everything.
Right.
And so my thing is develop a relationship with your family, particularly, you know, the mother, the father, grandparents, whoever's in the home, because it's also from them that I can glean if you are doing the things and that accountability that you say you were going to do, or that commitment. The other one that we talked about, focus already, and the other one is communication.
Yeah. So
You have to talk.
Okay.
Don't text me. Don't Facebook me. Don't tweet me. You understand? And any other stuff you want to do. No, we need to sit down and talk. I need to see your face.
Right.
I need to see if how you are saying it is really the real deal. As far as you are
some
concerned.
verbal dialogue. In other
Exactly.
Words. Some
And you
facial
all
verbal dialogue.
exactly. You know, because like you say, you could be on the phone talking to the person, they can be like this, the phone held way out here, yeah, whatever, and the hand doing like
we all have done
this.
that.
You know, but that's not the deal. The deal is that it's about, you know, this self improvement, and we have to go beyond the acting. We got to do the real.
The doing, right.
The
Yeah.
doing,
Okay.
exactly.
I want to ask about on the cover of the Boys to Men.
Oh, watch out now.
Yeah, you know where I'm going. Okay, let's talk about the elephant, because the one elephant is leading the other one, and let's bring this together.
Yeah, let's
caught
do
my eye,
this.
too.
Let's do this very shortly because
All
it's
right.
long. So this particular demonstration comes from a animal refuge.
Okay.
My research was able to, you know, take it back to different programs, but the story of it is this: the elephant, as we know, is a very strong, powerful animal.
Right.
Getting to the gist of everything, there's a chemical in the brain of the elephant. It's called the musk. And you can spell it different ways. You got a cologne spell, you know, M-U-S-K and so on. But this particular chemical, when it's released, causes spontaneous action in the elephant to the extent that they can't handle it.
Oh, wow.
You know, and so what it does is that. So let's get to the point. So on the refuge, you know, those that were in charge decided to remove all the older elephants, which they did, and all of a sudden, within a matter of days, things started becoming very chaotic. You know, in the herd, the particularly with the male elephants, the younger male elephants, they were fighting each other. They were fighting their mothers and sisters and doing some other things. And so they were trying to figure out what was going on. And so they realized what they had done was remove the older elephants.
Right.
So they say, we got to bring them. As soon as they brought the older elephants back, they began to deal with the situation. And the younger bulls, the younger elephants calmed down, and these elephants, the older elephants, brought them in and began to teach them how they're supposed to act in the herd.
Okay.
And so that's what it's, but I also want to bring into the fact of Dr. Clark,
Okay.
who is a historian, African American, and one of his programs before he died, he had a program, and he used this term, the Great and Mighty Walk. And so I coin that phrase because for me with mentoring, that's what it is. You have to walk side that person. You know, don't intimidate them, because we already know you intimidate them because you're an adult.
Right.
You're an educator. You know, you got degrees and things. So you have to walk side this person and help them and guide them and show them. But again, along with you walking beside them, you have these goals that you have agreed to set, and you are basically steering them to help them reach and obtain those goals.
Okay.
So that's what the elephant is all about.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And the Rainbow Poetry, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, that is a compilation of many years of poetry, and there's several other ones that I haven't published yet. But I've always been, I would say it's a God-gifted talent that the Lord gave me to write.
Okay.
And particularly when it comes to poetry, I like to write life experiences. I like to, as some folks say, feel the synergy and the energy. You know, a lot of times when I travel to a new place or a community, you know, I actually get out there and put feet on the ground to feel the atmosphere, to listen to the conversation, even ask folks if they're not speaking English, what are you talking about?
Right.
Because for me, that is what helps inspire me to write.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing so much. And I mean, I feel like there's so much more. So we definitely have to have you come back because I know this is just the tip. Thank you.
Yes,
Did you want to
indeed.
ask one more question, Loris, before we take a break?
Like you said, we just have to have Dr. King back because
Right.
I mean, we can talk about this probably all week long. I guess could you share with the viewers how could they obtain your books? Or?
Yes. Yeah, you can obtain the book by two ways. You can contact me by email, which is drajking@gmail.com,
Okay.
which I know most folks don't like to do is give their telephone number. But you can also call me direct at 313-207-5793.
Okay.
That's 313-207-5793. If you email me, please put in your subject requesting a book.
Okay.
Because I get emails and they go straight to the to the X file.
Quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, Detroit, this has been a great conversation starting off about mentoring and also these wonderful books. So please reach out if you have a mentoring program, if you're trying to start a mentoring program, an educator like ourselves. And of course, we probably can find a lot of things we could be using in the classroom.
Absolutely.
So, I've read the book. And thank you for autographing it for me. And I will be using some things with my young men in class. So let's take a quick break. We will be back. In Detroit, we're going to have our next guest on, Miss Cynthia Jarvis, who's doing community work, and she's also working with returning citizens. So this is another great and exciting conversation we're going to have. So stay tuned and come right back.
Come on back.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Cheryl Underwood got her own show, now you get yours. Have a business or talent you want to showcase? Have your own show simulcast on WHPR TV and radio, and on Comcast Cable and all of your favorite apps and devices.
We're going to come back quarterly, and I'm serious. We are going to produce things out of here. Because I want to prove that it can be done right out of here.
Packages start at just $99. Download the WHPR TV app and catch the Cheryl Underwood show wherever you are.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
Welcome back, Detroit, and we have another great guest with us this morning, Miss Cynthia Jarvis, and we are so glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you are a community outreach activist. And
Okay.
I know it's such a fancy title.
It is.
So,
It is. It sounds so important. Makes you feel good.
right. So let's dig deep in. How did you begin your journey being an activist and working with the community people?
Well, it's been a long ride. I worked 33 years in corporate America.
Okay.
And when I retired, I decided to do something formal. I've been helping people in the community all along, my whole life. I just decided that I'm going to, oh, I'm sorry. I decided that I was going to do something formal once I retired. And I got a house And what I learned early on for me
Okay.
was that there was no greater feeling for me than to give somebody hope or to help them.
Right.
None for me. And that feeling, I just can't let go of that feeling. I can't. And so whatever it takes, whatever it takes, you know. And I was just so happy to find out that that is what motivated me, and it just it drives me.
Wow.
It really does. So it is such a great feeling for me that that's just what I do.
Was there, you said after you retired, was there any, I guess, an inspirational spark or something personal that happened to you for you to, that motivated you to take this position and then?
No,
Okay.
not really. I mean, I just started helping, and I just saw the hope that it gave
The hope.
people,
That's huge.
the inspiration. You know, people have so much going on. I mean, right now my focus is women.
Okay.
But before that, it was not just women. I mean, and I would help anybody now. I'm just
Right.
saying. But the transitional house currently is focused for women. And one of the things I've learned since I've kind of been studying a little bit more and researching and talking to people is the disparity between men and women.
Yes.
The things that, I mean, and here we are, 2018, and there are differences. And I was just so surprised because I just didn't think that there were.
Right.
Particularly, like for instance, to give you an example, I was going to the veterans housing to ask them if they could refer me to a person who was responsible for women's housing
Right.
and veteran women. And the young man at the desk said, well, we don't have anything. And I said, oh, you must be mistaken because women are veterans too.
Right.
And you have this huge sign that says veterans housing. So veterans housing means all veterans to me.
Right.
So I said, could you make a phone call or could you call somebody? And, you know, I said, please don't take this as an offense, but I'm not understanding. And he did.
Okay.
And he called, and when he came back, he said, I'm sorry. And I said, well, you don't, okay, I got it. You don't have anybody here.
Oh, right. Okay.
But where can you refer me? Where's the
Right.
building that I go to so that I can talk to someone about the women so I can find out the needs and I can better understand. I need a
Right.
platform to work from so I can understand what needs to be done since I'm trying to find an answer to housing for underserved populations. Because one of the things that I did when I was studying or in my grant classes and looking for information, no matter what the population was, no matter where in the United States it was, housing was a problem.
Right.
Adequate, decent, affordable housing was a problem. So it didn't matter if it was children, women, returning citizens, it didn't matter who it was, whatever the underserved population was, housing was an issue. So I said, well, I can start with that because I loved housing. You know, my
Right.
husband and I, when we got married, that was one of the gifts. When we got money, we bought our first house together to rehab.
Okay.
And
Oh,
we
okay.
didn't know a lot about that. We made a lot of mistakes. But as time progressed, I mean, we took classes and we read and we made mistakes. It was all good.
Okay.
And then once we got the finished product, we were so very proud of ourselves. It was I can't even tell you how much work it was, but it was okay. And that was the start of that.
Right.
And I said, we need decent housing.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started.
Okay. So the house that you have now for your first transitional house, it is for homeless women, correct?
Single, homeless, working women
Okay.
over 40.
Okay.
It's very specific. It's very
Yeah,
it is very specific
Okay.
because that particular house, and there's no disrespect to any other population, but that particular house was made or designed for women over 40, because I'm over 40, and there are different types of problems associated with people over 40
Right.
Yeah.
or 50 or 60. And as we get older in the United States, sometimes the population is not so nice to us
Right.
as
so
we
kind.
as we continue
Yeah.
to
You're right.
grow older.
Right.
So I wanted to select a population that we generally tend to focus on the young people. Because when I first started and I was giving out my flyers and everything, the population that was calling basically were people between 18 and like 25
Okay.
with a lot of kids.
Okay.
And I said, I no disrespect, but I need to focus on a older population, a more mature population. And again, we deal with different issues at 40. You know, sometimes we are in the divorce stage about that time. Or we're in the empty nester stage
Okay.
at that time. We are dealing with aging parents at that time.
Yes.
It's a lot. We are taking on
Yeah.
our siblings' children if something has happened. In particular, I met a lady who her sibling had gone to prison, and she had a lot of children, and she didn't want the children to go to foster care. So she took on like 6 kids, and she
Wow.
had 4 herself.
Wow.
So 10 children is a
In
lot.
one house.
It is.
In one house.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you know, we deal with a lot of different things at 40 that we would not even consider
Right.
at 20.
Right.
So-
And then personal illnesses yourself.
Absolutely.
So with that demographic, how does homelessness play a part in regards to their working? Because
Okay.
a lot of people, homelessness is an issue that we really don't get that deep in because it's like
Right.
they're silent.
Yes, that's right. Because a lot of that is not documented. Because guess what? I need a place to live. I need a shelter. While I'm at work, shelters have timelines.
Right.
You have to be
Yeah.
in the shelter or in line or whatever, like by 6 or by 5 or whatever. You can't just come in there anytime you feel like it when you get off work. So that leaves them out.
Right.
That leaves them out. So you have these working homeless people, and it's homelessness is a very tough subject anyway. But in our minds, we think of homelessness as the person standing on the corner.
Right.
Right.
That's all we really see. Because I can remember putting an ad in the paper, and when I talked to the gentleman, and I stated specifically what I wanted to say, and he said, excuse me, may I call you Cynthia? I said, sure. He said, Cynthia, you said working in your description. I said, yes, I did. He said, are you sure you mean working? Because to my knowledge, there are no working homeless. And I said, sir, how old are you? He said, 23. I said, that's why you don't know. I said, are you still
Yeah.
living at home? You know, you don't even understand
Yeah.
what life is all about yet. I
Not aware.
said,
Right.
no, I said,
It's
no
not aware.
disrespect.
Right.
No disrespect. I said, but there are homeless working people. I said, do you understand people who may not have worked all their lives? I said, you have college students or people who have gone to college, and they are working side by side with people that haven't. I said, people are struggling for jobs. It's all types of things going on here. I said, you have to really look at your surroundings. I said,
Right.
and perhaps your surroundings does not help define this situation.
Yeah, it's just, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because we need to be aware of those kinds of. I guess there's different levels of homelessness.
Yes, there is.
Because as you say, I guess from a societal point of view, we look at homeless as just people out on the street and with the signs, work for food, that type of thing. But there are people who are working
Absolutely.
every day,
Every day.
just experiencing some financial difficulties
Absolutely.
and some circumstances beyond their control.
Correct.
Which put them in a homeless position, and
Correct.
it's just unfortunate. So.
Just for example, things that we don't even think about. I'm living in an apartment today. Someone comes and buys the apartment, and they say you have 30 days to leave. Now, I've been living here for 5 years.
Right.
It's around the corner from my job. I don't have a car, so I can walk to my job. I've been working there 25 years or whatever. So everything's convenient. It's all planned out. Now, you come and tell me I have to be gone in 30 days. Okay, first of all, I have not planned this out. Moving is usually something people plan
Absolutely.
if they can,
Absolutely.
right? So this is a surprise. So now I have
It's a curveball.
Right.
It's a life curveball.
I have to leave.
Yeah.
I have to pack. I have to move. I have to find a place for my things. I have to find a place for myself.
That's a lot.
Okay? And I have no money saved. Okay? To move is expensive.
Yes.
When you start talking about security deposits and down payments, and my credit is not good. Okay, everything now is based on credit, even jobs.
Yes.
Okay, so what do I do now?
Right.
30 days is not a lot of time
No.
to get all of that together.
To know. That's a
Right.
lot.
And
That's
a lot of
monumental.
people don't have the support. I've also heard, well, can't they just go live with their family?
That's still homelessness because
Yeah,
that's
it's-
couch surfing.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
right,
is.
yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
well, don't you understand that that's still, it's not your home?
Right.
And you probably are on a certain time frame for that, and maybe you don't get along with your family, or maybe their lifestyle is not conducive
It's
to
not-
yours.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have to be
Exactly.
realistic. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you would
Yeah, you
say, this person's shelter. Which one? You know, and it's really
Right,
the
because
truth.
living with someone is totally different than saying, hi, how you doing, and good morning.
Yeah, you're living by their rules. and their
Absolutely.
roof.
Absolutely. Their lifestyle may be nothing like your lifestyle.
Okay, so we are going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back. And this has been another awesome conversation that we're
Yes.
having about,
Yes.
you know, community, helping the community, mentoring, and, you know, we're going to talk about returning citizens because that's your next project coming
Yes.
up. So we're going to get more into that. So we're going to take a quick break, Detroit, and we're going to come right back and finish our discussion with Cynthia Jarvis. And we also have a surprise guest that we're going to squeeze in the last part of our show. We're so excited to share with you some things. So stay tuned and come right back.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man.
All right, thank you for coming back. And we are talking to Miss Cynthia Jarvis. If you're just now catching our episode of National Mentoring Month, and we had two great people here. We had Dr. or Reverend, I don't know which one to call him, Anthony King. He's got so many important titles.
Renaissance man.
Yes. And we have Miss Cynthia Jarvis right here who's doing some community housing. She's providing housing for homeless women over 40, working homeless women over 40, and she's broken down the statistics and what that is like and why she's doing it. So now we going to talk about her next project, which are returning citizens.
Correct.
Okay.
I am currently working on a house. It's a two-family flat, 3 bedrooms up, 3 bedrooms down. It's a historic house. It's 111 years old.
Oh, wow.
And my husband and I have done extensive work. We've been through a lot with this house to the point of like, you almost want to give up. But we persevered. And it's coming to an end. We just have some exterior work that we need to do on the porch. And we don't know how to do that, so we have to call in the troops. We have to call in the troops for that. But other than that, it's coming along. So it's just so nice. I'm just so pleased. We have really worked so hard, so hard. But it's beautiful, and they're just gonna love it. And one thing we do before we release the house or before we move the clients in is we have an open house. And like for the first house, 66 guests showed up, and
Beautiful.
it was so nice.
Okay.
And my husband was responsible for signing people in, and I'm like, "Did you sign it?" I forgot. There was so much going on, you know. So 66 noted, signed in guests. I don't know how many people came, but we will do an open house at that time so that people understand how important that housing is to
Right.
us, and how nice it is. I mean, every guest we had, it was so good. Not that I needed this validation, but every guest we had said, "Cynthia, I would live here. I would move in today." You know, but I felt that way too, so I was okay. I didn't
Right.
need it, but it was just nice to hear.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. This is where's the house located? It's on the east side of Detroit, the west
This,
side of Detroit?
the one we're working on
Yes.
as our second project, that it's on East Grand Boulevard.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. It is a historical. That's a
Yes, over
Yeah,
area.
it's on East Grand
Yeah.
Boulevard, and we are hoping that by the spring that we can be finished and we can have our little open house and get the people in.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let us know. We're coming.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Marshall
I
and I
definitely
is
will.
coming.
I definitely
Right.
will.
We're coming.
And this is for returning citizen women that have maybe one-time offenders, that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But
Okay.
the bottom line is that not only there's an organization that helps to get them employment.
Okay.
So I'm going to be working with them
Okay.
so that they can send these people, because I did not, now this is something I did not know. She said one of the problems that they're having is housing. Nobody wants to let them rent, even though they have a job,
Right.
because they were,
That record.
yeah, because of their record. And I felt, God, when will they ever stop paying?
Right.
You know,
Right.
when the
People
judge
make- people
offers
make
you,
mistakes.
when they
I'm
have a
sorry.
sentence,
Yeah.
I give you the sentence, 10 years or 15 years or whatever,
Uh-huh.
you pay it, you've done it, and now you're coming home, and now you have to pay for the rest of your life. That's very unfortunate.
Extremely
and
unfair.
It's unfair.
Extremely
And the
unfair.
bad thing about it is that so many of us have done so many wrong things. We just did not get caught.
Right.
And
Right.
this too, and it just passed, and we just want to keep it under wraps. But we treat these people so bad, and I just feel so
Right.
awful about that. So I said, well, this is another opportunity to offer decent, affordable housing.
Right.
So I said yes. So that's what I'm doing now.
And that's a good thing. That's because second chances are important.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're opening up to the community for them to come in and see, because that's a great opportunity for them to see, one, how important it is.
Absolutely.
Second of all, erase the stigma. They
Right.
have done their debt to society.
They paid it.
They paid
Paid
it.
it,
They
yeah.
learned. We all make mistakes in life.
Yes.
And why are you so judgmental? Even they have problems even, returning back and then not even being allowed to vote. You're living in the country, you're paying taxes, you have a job, you're paying taxes, but I can't vote
Right.
and have any say who represents me, that's wrong.
Yes.
Right. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited because it just allows me to give somebody else some hope.
Right.
And that's really important.
I love
to
that
me.
word, hope. You've been saying it the whole show. I just love it.
But
because
that's what carries
that is
us.
so monumental.
Right.
That's what carries
that's
us.
what it is.
That
That's
little
it.
piece of hope, it gets us to the next day. Well, maybe, we pray and ask for faith, and we and hope, and so why can't we just give somebody some hope? And the thing is, everybody can do that. And everybody, I think, wants to, because when I reach out and ask friends and tell their friends or something like that, if I'm doing a clothing drive or something, then it's overwhelming what kind of response that I get. People want to genuinely help.
Right.
They don't know how, they
Right.
don't know where. People like to feel a part of something good.
Right.
So this is the way that I reach out to people, because if I'm doing something or get a project or get a situation where it's too much for me, but I need some help, then I just start calling.
Yeah.
And everybody calls somebody, and before you know it,
You got a ton of help.
we've reached our goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's very important, because a lot of times in our community, we don't always see our faces helping and doing things.
Yes.
So, and that gives an opportunity. That's why we created this platform, so people can come on and you can see the wonderful work. Because, this is opportunity. This is great housing for homeless women, working women over 40, women that are returning back into society,
Yes.
that's paid their debt, and then
Yes.
veteran women. So
Yeah, I
these
want them
are
too.
serious statistics that people are not even aware or educated about, and you're educating the community, so that is a wonderful thing. Yeah, we want to oh my God, you're just wonderful.
Oh, thank
Awesome.
you. To God
So-
be the glory.
So we're glad
man.
you came. We have a surprise. I want you to stay right here, but we have a surprise. We have an entrepreneur in the building. She's been on our show before, a young entrepreneur, and she surprised us. She stopped by. She made Empowered Living product for us. So we're going to have Miss Alicia just come on and step on the scene quickly and bring our product and show it, because we love to show people off and what they are inspired to do.
Come on, lady.
Come on.
Show us what you got
You
here.
can come on this side right here. Hi. So, Miss Alicia, she has created for us some positive love
Oh, that's
T-shirts.
awesome. That is awesome.
And she has brought them to us.
All right.
Okay.
Positive love.
Positive
All right,
love.
Detroit.
All right.
All right,
That's
so
right.
we wanted to share this when she said she was going to bring them by, and I said, okay, well, we'll give you a chance to show the community your products and bring her in, because this is what we love to do on Power Living. We love to bring people and just show how great they are and the inspiration that God has given them to pour something out into the community. You might not always see this on the local news or, always hear about what we're doing, but this is how we connect, and we connect resources. So we want to make sure that we always, if you send us an email or call the station, and we would be glad to hear your story, hear something positive that you're doing in the community. But we definitely want to make sure that the community knows about great people that are doing great and awesome things. So we're getting close to the end of our show. We want to make sure that everyone has a wonderful Martin Luther King celebration tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's King Day.
Yes, it is. Tomorrow, I know a lot of us, we're off from work, but we may be working on some other things, and it's always good to connect in your community.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right.
Lovely.
So thank you for joining us today on Empowered Living, and keep the hope alive. Keep hope alive and
That's
keep the
right.
dream alive.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Loris,
Yeah.
is there something coming up that you know about?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Marshall. I did have the service, but I forgot the information.
Okay.
I apologize. But I'm sure Detroit, there are a lot of King services going on in the community. So as Marshall mentioned earlier, go out and just be a part of the service, because this is King Weekend, and we want to keep his dream going within our own communities.
Yep. And as
that.
Reverend Anthony King said, we owe a debt.
We owe a debt.
Yes,
We
we
owe
do.
a
right.
debt. We have to remember that. We would not be where we are if it was not for someone that was before us. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Empowered Living.
Yes.
Please join us again. We will have more people coming on for Mentoring Month this month. And also for Black History Month, we will be sharing some special things going on and doing some Black History education too, getting deep into some Black history. We need it with what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Can't wait for that.
All right, so be blessed, and thank you for joining us.
Have a good week.
If you hear this message, wherever you stand, I'm calling every woman, calling every man. We're the generation, we can't afford to wait. The future started yesterday, and we're already late.